Hey there, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman. On the show tonight, efforts to redefine Chicago's decades-old community boundaries. Find out how you can help. The incredible journey of 17-year-old Dorothy Jean Tilman, who has earned her bachelor's, master's, and now her doctorate degree.
That's why west of Pulaski, you immediately bump into streets like Keystone, Karlov, and Kedvale.
Why some Chicago street names are alphabetically inclined. The latest in our series, WTTW News Explains.
The candles and the fragrance is really the bait to get you here.
And meet the Chicago woman whose candle-making classes are bringing the light. All that coming up right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
We all know Chicago as the city of neighborhoods, but how exactly are those neighborhoods defined? And do those boundaries last mapped out in the 1920s still hold true? That's what a group of scholars from the University of Chicago is venturing to find out. They're asking residents to weigh in and draw their own neighborhood boundaries through an interactive map survey. Joining us now with more on this are Lydia Wilden, a postdoctoral scholar at the University of Chicago who's leading this neighborhood mapping project, and Chicago historian Sherman Dilla Thomas. Thanks to you both for joining us. We appreciate it. Sherman, welcome back. Thank you. Lydia, let's start with you, please. How did the idea for this survey come about?
Sure. So this is a project that is a collaboration between myself, Dr. Emily Talon, and Dr. Crystal Bay at the University of Chicago. We are three researchers associated with the Mansueto Institute at the university, and our interests are broadly about how people experience neighborhoods, how people attach meaning to neighborhoods, and what neighborhoods do for individuals. And so we're really interested in thinking about how do people in Chicago actually experience their neighborhoods. We have the Chicago area map defined in the 1920s, but we know that that really doesn't map on to how people actually experience their communities. And so we wanted to ask Chicagoans, how do you actually experience your neighborhood? What do you think of as your neighborhood boundaries? Around the same time that we were talking about this, the New York Times actually launched a very similar project. That gave us the nudge that this was a good idea to try in Chicago itself. They got about 37,000 responses from their readers. So we are feeling a little competitive and hoping to learn directly from Chicago residents what they think about their neighborhoods.
You can definitely take on the New York Times on this.
Totally.
As you mentioned, we know Chicago is made up of 77 community areas, but then of course we have neighborhoods within Chicago and within those community areas. How do you differentiate the two?
Sure. So the 77 community areas are large, they're unchanging, and they really gloss over a lot of the variation that exists within Chicago. There is the 1978 city neighborhood map that the city accepted in the 1990s, and that recognizes about 280 neighborhoods, I believe. But missing from that map is our neighborhoods like Bronzeville. That map includes neighborhoods like Pilsen that aren't community areas, similarly Wicker Park. And so there is a lot of variation, and yet we still think that there might be areas that aren't captured in those maps. And the fact that the community areas don't change over time, or that the last time that we really mapped Chicago neighborhoods was back in the 1970s, suggests that there might be a lot of new insights into the nature of Chicago neighborhoods that just isn't being captured.
Dilla, can you tell us a little bit more about the history of Chicago's current community boundaries map? How old is it?
So the community areas map, I believe that dates back to the 1920s and early 1930s, done by University of Chicago sociologists. It's really, really pleasing to hear that something's being done about updating the neighborhoods and how communities feel about the neighborhoods, because Historically, the boundaries of neighborhoods and community areas, and sometimes even the names, they're not really rooted in the best of historical spaces, right? So sometimes the boundaries between two neighborhoods are actually formally the boundaries of the restrictive racial covenants that divided us as a city. So it's really, really good to hear that something's being done and take a fresh look at that.
You just kind of touched on this, but how were some of these boundaries laid out at the time?
So exactly that. Formerly in Chicago, we had this terrible thing called restrictive racial covenants, and it was where, just for the sake of numbers, say if 80% of a particular neighborhood demographic of folks said that they would not lease to or rent their houses to people who are not of European descent or people who are not Christians in European descent, then they were forbidden from living in those areas. And then to wall them off, that became the neighborhood boundary. So places like Woodlawn had restricted racial covenants, or places like Auburn Gresham. And so that's where the neighborhood boundaries find their origins historically.
Lydia, you mentioned the 37,000 responses that the New York Times received. Have you received a lot of responses so far?
Yeah, so our survey has been up for about a month, and we have about 4,000 different maps that residents have drawn of their neighborhood boundaries. So, not quite 37,000 yet, but so far our outreach efforts have really been by reaching out to community organizations, by reaching out to aldermen's offices, by getting some media coverage, and then also through word of mouth. And it's pretty obvious from what we've collected so far the limits of some of our networks. We have a lot of people who have drawn maps of Hyde Park, many fewer of Woodlawn. And so our efforts right now are really to try to correct for that response bias and make sure that when we are creating a map of Chicago, we're capturing all of Chicago's voices. So we have a little bit of money that we're going to put towards trying to reach those other communities to make sure that at the end of the day, we can really say that we've amplified the voices of Chicago.
Obviously, so it sounds like then it's very important to be sure that you've included as many people as possible, and certainly from those other neighborhoods that you're not hearing from just yet. Dilla, we all know Chicago wouldn't be Chicago without its varying neighborhoods. I'm not originally from the area, but I joke that Chicago's so big that even the neighborhoods have neighborhoods. Do you find that Chicagoans still closely identify with their community?
Yes, very much so. One, I'm going to do my part to make sure I share it and put out on my platform so we get this survey, because we got to beat New York or I'm not going to be able to sleep very well. But people in Rosemore are often talking that they don't feel seen because we don't talk about Rosemore, we talk about Roseland. People from Inglewood, they discuss not really feeling seen as well because of some of the disinvestment. But when you run into people from Chicago, there's two ways we identify each other. We identify each other based off of the high school that we went to, and then based off of the neighborhood that you grew up with. So what neighborhood you're from speaks volumes to the type of Chicagoan that you are. And people who live in the city proper, that's how we divide. I shouldn't say divide, but that's how we figure out whether you're actually from Chicago or if you're from Naperville or if you're from Aurora, because we'll say, hey, you're from the south side or west side. And then once you say yes, now we're looking for that follow-up. If you're from the west side, and are you from North Lawndale? Are you from East Garfield Park, right? Are you from Austin? So people very, very much are still tied to the Chicago neighborhoods that they're from.
Yeah, we know Chicagoans are pretty particular about people who are not from Chicago claiming that they are. Dilla, you do community tours across the city. What do you hear from folks about the way they think their neighborhoods have changed over the years?
It just depends on the neighborhood that I'm touring, right? So you take neighborhoods like Pilsen. Sometimes the people who are organic or original to Pilsen, they're not necessarily loving the gentrification that's taking place there. They're being priced out. They're moving to the West Inglewood neighborhood. But when they say I'm doing a tour of Pullman, they are absolutely beyond proud to be born and raised in Pullman. A lot of those homes are owned by fourth generation Pullman residents. If I'm doing neighborhoods like Bronzeville, to Lydia's point, they're upset that they're not on the map, right? As it stands, Bronzeville is like a cultural name of what we call that space, when really it's been Bronzeville for, at this point, about 100 years. So it just depends on what area we're in. People are very proud. If I have folks on the bus, we're doing Bridgeport, and folks are from Bridgeport, and they're eager to point out things that I miss, or they'll follow up with a more inside track on the story that I told. So, those type of responses are what I get.
All right, Lydia, we've got about 30 seconds left. There's a question in the survey of if you feel a sense of belonging in your neighborhood. Why was it important for you all to include that question?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're looking at is areas of consensus, but also areas of difference in terms of how people see their neighborhoods. And so one of the things we're interested in is, do newcomers versus old, longtime residents have different opinions? Do people who have different feelings of belonging in their neighborhood define their neighborhoods differently? So that's part of why we've included that. Okay,
that's where we'll have to leave it. Sounds like an interesting project. Can't wait to hear from you when you've gotten a little bit further down the road and gotten the responses that you need. Absolutely. Lydia Wild and Sherman Della Thomas, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And in case you're interested or would like to weigh in on your own neighborhood, we have a link to the survey on our website. Up next, meet a 17-year-old who just earned her doctorate degree. That's right after this. Most 17-year-olds are all excited about finishing high school and maybe thinking about college. But our next guest is in a class all by herself. A typical teen in some ways, 17-year-old Bronzeville resident Dorothy Jean Tilman also happens to have just earned her doctorate degree. And if her name sounds familiar, that's because she is the granddaughter of former Alderwoman Dorothy Tilman. Joining us now is Dr. Dorothy Jean Tilman. Thank you so much for joining us, and congrats on your degree.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course. You recently successfully, of course, defended your dissertation. Yes. You now, as we mentioned, hold a doctorate in integrated behavioral health, which sounds very complicated. Shed some light on what your research focused on.
Yes, so my research in integrated behavioral health focused on if outreach decreased stigma. Basically, if communicating with people about what their thoughts are on mental health, what they think about their own and other people's, and possibly ever getting help for it, would decrease them feeling like mental health may make you crazy, or getting help may make you crazy, or things along those lines.
What do you want to do with that degree?
I want to continue the work that I'm already doing entrepreneurially, but also to integrate those two things and kind of introduce other youth to integrated behavioral health, because a lot of people in my generation are interested in mental health and things along those lines. And so I think that continuing to work with facilities to maybe do outreach that can decrease stigma in any way would be what I would want to do.
So let's back up a little bit. You were homeschooled, which is one of the fastest growing forms of education in the U.S. Tell us how that worked for you and how you think it contributed to your academic success.
Yes, so me and my mom used to wake up every day as early as whatever Starbucks would open, or if we just had to go to the study room in our apartment, we would wake up as early as possible, get as many courses out the way as possible in that moment, and then wake up and do it all over again the next day. I think having that control of my schedule is probably what made the homeschool best for me.
I would imagine if you're a gifted or accelerated learner, then being taught on your own by your mom, then that you can probably move along in your coursework much faster as well.
Yes, having your own choice to just go at whatever pace you would like definitely gave me a lot more control and definitely made me enjoy education a lot more.
So then you were taking college classes, though, by age 10. Yes. So how did you go from, homeschooling on a homeschool curriculum, of course, for a 10-year-old to taking college classes?
Well, my homeschool when I was online for regular curriculum was my high school online program. That was the first time I kind of did online after finishing up all of my course hours from middle school, so that I could move on to that. I did that, and we moved on to the associate's program, because that was kind of my mom's goal, to move me into the college programming, because she felt like learning kind of took on a different form then.
At what point did she realize, you know, my kid's a little bit accelerated, and we need to upgrade to some college level classes and start earning degrees? Like, was there sort of a flip that switched at some point?
Well, I think that after my gifted kids school that I was going to got kind of reabsorbed into another school, and I wasn't enjoying education because I didn't really I couldn't learn like as many things as I wanted to. Like, they weren't giving me the work in a way that I could like absorb it as well. She kind of was like, we got to take you out and do something different.
Okay, so it's Mom's idea. We can thank Mom for that, as usual. Of course, then by 12, you had a bachelor's degree in humanities. 14, you had your master's.
Yes.
And so I'm guessing was the same process kind of applied throughout, just to keep it going?
Yes, it was the online process kind of all throughout. It maybe was different based on a program or something like that. And I did do a bit more in-person proctoring when I was getting my associate's and bachelor's degree than my master's and my PhD. But for the most part, it was kind of the same form.
You're also an entrepreneur. Tell us about the Dorothy Genius STEAM Leadership Institute.
Yes, so the Dorothy Genius STEAM Leadership Institute is a leadership institute that is helping youth find a pathway to their dreams through STEAM. And so whether that may be arts or technology or engineering, we are helping them find a pathway through that umbrella of STEAM, because everything falls under that umbrella somehow.
And we should clarify STEAM. A lot of folks are familiar with STEM, but STEAM is STEM, including the arts.
Yes, so it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
So a lot of longtime Chicago Tonight viewers, they will know your grandmother, of course, Dorothy Tilman, former alderwoman for whom you are named. Yes. How would you say she shaped or inspired what you do today? I
think that waking up so many mornings and going downstairs to seeing my granny like talking at the kitchen table, whether it was to my mom or to the TV about what was going on, or whether it was to me teaching me some very significant lesson, I think that every day it was something. I had a trailblazer like that in my home, and the knowledge does not stop coming.
Of course. So obviously you've got a lot of incredible accomplishments behind you. You still do some typical teen stuff?
I definitely would say I do. I'm in a Chicago dance group, the Happiness Club, and so getting to be with my peers there definitely keeps me like in my regular like teen mindset, getting to hang out with all of my friends and just go out and do the same things that people, my peers do, because I'm hanging out with them is definitely like something that a lot of people think I don't do, but it's like my everyday.
Right, doing some TikToks.
Yeah, doing TikToks, going to the mall, like hanging out on my beanbag chair, like on the room, like the house that everybody wants to come over, all the LED lights and like star projectors, and so we just like hang out and have fun.
Of course, like a normal 17-year-old. So at the same time though, you know, a lot of folks might see all of your academic success, particularly at a young age, as pretty intimidating. How do you handle that, and what do you want folks to know about you?
I think that making it clear that I am very much so a real person. Like, I have my ups and downs. I'm coming down with something like today. Like, it's definitely making sure that a lot of parents know, you know, I wouldn't want them to share my story and be like, hey, look at what this kid is doing, do this. It would be, I want them to share my story and be like, is there anything I could be doing as a parent to support you more, to help you more so we can be a better team? I think that, you know, just having my mom there and having that support is what made it like even possible to do this in the first place.
What's next for you?
I think what's next for me is, of course, continuing my STEAM camp and continuing to grow that and the quality of it and possibly franchise it one day. Definitely would love to work with youth in different areas and mental health spaces about just decreasing their own stigma, because it is normal for everybody to have like mental health. That's when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry. All of it is your mental health. And so I just think that next for me is definitely traveling and learning more about myself, but continuing on my entrepreneurship journey and integrating that with my degree.
It's a little late for a gap year, but you could definitely take some time off, right, after all of this?
Definitely a month or two.
Definitely a month or two, a gap month, as they call it. Congratulations again, Dorothy Jean Tilman. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Of course. Up next, the ABCs of Chicago's street names. We explain right after this. When you think of learning about the alphabet on WTTW, you probably think of Sesame Street. But the ABCs aren't just the building blocks of words, they're also literal blocks that make up part of Chicago's street grid, spawning the nickname of a section of North Lawndale. As part of our series, WTTW News Explains, Nick Blumberg has a lesson on how some of Chicago's streets got their alliterative names.
What's in a name? Like most major cities, many of Chicago's streets are named to honor important people. You've got the cluster of presidents downtown like Monroe, Madison, and Washington, former mayors like Ogden and Cermak, early developers like John Kedzie and Patrick Tuohy, and in 2021, Chicago changed the name of one of its most famous thoroughfares, Outer Lakeshore Drive, to honor Jean-Baptiste Pointe-de-Sable, the first non-indigenous settler of our fair city. But as you travel a ways west from the lake, it's hard not to notice clusters of north-south streets that all start with the same letters, K, L, M, N, O. What gives? Back in 1913, the City Council and the Chicago Bureau of Maps were cooking up a plan to revamp the city's street names. Because Chicago grew piecemeal by annexing surrounding townships, it was all a mishmash of mismatched nomenclature and quite a few disorienting duplicates. John Riley, the superintendent of the city's map bureau, wanted to make things way more simple, like ABC's simple. Starting at the Indiana state line, all north-south streets were to start with the letter A. At the 1 mile mark, they'd switch to B. At the 2 mile mark, they'd go to C, and so on. Except, many north-south streets in the eastern and oldest portion of the city already had well-established and recognized names. So the proposal only got partial approval for streets farther west. That's why west of Pulaski, you immediately bump into streets like Keystone, Karlov, and Kedvale. And that's why part of North Lawndale is nicknamed K-Town. But it doesn't stop at K. Chicago stretches so far west, you can find streets like Octavia, Osceola, and Ozark. So, next time you're passing by these alphabet blocks, you'll know it wasn't just a Sesame Street sensibility, but an effort by city leaders of yore to make your life a little easier. As easy as ABC, or KLM.
For more on our Emmy Award-winning WTTW News Explains series, including why you can't buy a car on Sundays and how Chicago's grid system works, you can visit our website. That's at WTTW.com/explains. Up next, a local business owner creating candles and connections. We introduce you to her right after this. The COVID pandemic disrupted every facet of our lives and even left some of us feeling disconnected from the people we care about most. The pandemic also changed Chicago and OG Merzir Amiabada's business plans, but then it sparked a new idea. At her studio, she's using candle classes to help couples create deeper connections. Erica Gunderson recently shed some light on this love story. Here's another look.
I'm a lover of love, so I believe in love. Welcome to our 7 o'clock couples candle making class. So glad to have you here.
In a cozy North Park studio, 4 couples are learning how to make custom scented candles. Or at least, that's what they think they're there for.
They're the sweetest one. You can tell they're engaged. The candles and the fragrance is really the bait to get you here. At the end of the day, it's really about bringing people closer together. My friend probably sees you in her dreams all the time because she wanted to call you Pumpkin. We always say make candles, make magic. When I see the magic happen in the studio, that's what gives me the energy to keep going.
This romantic bait and switch is the brainchild of OG Merzir Amiabada, owner of Above Average Candle Studio.
I'm a lifelong Chicagoan. And I grew up on the west side. I have to say that, or else everybody from the west side will come like, I have to let you know. And togetherness and family, I think that is a very Chicago thing. Said you are the sunshine of their lives. I really wanted to do something that was going to bring people closer together.
Originally, Merzir Amiabada planned to open a doggy daycare in the garden level space, but that idea was quickly snuffed out.
Once we got our license from the city, it was March of 2020. And of course, you know what happened then.
So she pivoted to teaching themed candle workshops for friends, family, and couples as a crafty activity.
Initially, I just thought I'll give them some activities to do in between the science of making the candle. It'll be fun, they'll laugh, and that'll be it.
But Merzir Emiabada says as she saw how intimate creating candles together could be, she shaped a workshop that lights the flame of deeper connection.
My passion is definitely about that, about bringing people close together. What's been so great about the last 11 years with this one right here? What are some of the attributes that you admire about her, that you really like about her?
And she says it's an approach that has her feeling the love, too.
People say it's the best date night they ever had. I never knew my wife felt that way about me. Then I realized that it really is way more than just making candles. And that right there makes me say, yeah, you gotta keep doing this. We have no choice but to put love in the world. We need it. We need it.
For Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, this is Erica Gunderson.
And since this story originally aired, Above Average has opened a second location in Irving Park. There's more details on those classes on our website. And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for joining us. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, wishing all a happy and healthy holiday season.